Adediba. And today I'll be looking at a very critical topic, and it's dyslexia. I have an expert in the house, and she is Felicia Arikpo, the co-founder and executive director of Dyslexia Foundation. Welcome to the program, ma'am.
Thank you.
All right, now, so let me just talk about, some information about dyslexia. Now, according to World Health Organization, that's WHO, dyslexia is a learning disorder that involves difficulty in reading due to problems identifying speech sounds and learning how they relate to letters and words. Also, called reading disability. Dyslexia affects areas of the brain that process language. People with dyslexia, have normal intelligence and usually have normal vision. But most children with dyslexia can succeed in school with tutoring or a specialized education program. Now, they also need emotional support, playing a critical role in helping them. UNESCO defines dyslexia as a neurological condition that allows a child to develop reading brain. That does not, permit me, that does not, I beg your pardon, that does not allow a child to develop what they call a reading brain. The exact cause for dyslexia is not clear. However, anatomic and brain imagery studies depict differences in the way the brain of a person with dyslexia develops and also functions. Felicia Ripo, you have been in charge of dyslexia for a while now. Could you tell us in your own words how you would define dyslexia?
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to our listeners for coming to listen to this very wonderful exposition of this very unknown in the sense that not too many people know about this disorder. I call it a disorder, yes, because it's a brain disorder that interferes with language, written or spoken. Written in the sense that it affects your reading, writing, and comprehension. All this have to do with school work, and then speaking too, in the sense that when a child begins to develop and does not develop the language aspect of the brain is not properly developed, you begin to find difficulties. You find the child has challenges in expressing himself, in phonemic awareness generally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me just quickly announce it's 18 minutes past 12 in the city of Lagos. We're broadcasting live from University of Lagos in Akoka. Yes, the station is Unilag 103.1 FM. The program you're listening to is Health Focus, and my name is Adebola Adediba. Now, the lines to call is 0129111031. I'll take it again very slowly. 0129111031. If you have questions about dyslexia, you want to understand dyslexia better, or you need to manage dyslexia better, please call the lines and then let's ask our expert in the house questions. Now, could you speak to the causes of dyslexia?
When you say the causes of dyslexia, I want to understand what you mean.
Okay, because research has shown that intelligence is not a problem with people that have dyslexia.
That's right.
Now, so what could possibly cause dyslexia? Is it genetic?
Okay.
Is it hereditary?
You wanted to the causes of dyslexia?
The causes.
Okay.
Yes.
Well, there are two major causes that are known.
Okay.
There may be unknown ones. One of the major causes is that it could be a trauma. It could be a brain trauma. If somebody fell or a child fell, sometimes the nannies are taking care of a child. The child falls. They're afraid of telling mommy or daddy when he comes back, and nothing is done about it. In fact, one of the times, some of the things we hear also from our experience, that when you know how we throw up a child and you say you're winning that child from fear.
Oh yes, when you flip up a child.
Exactly.
Yes.
Those are some of the that can cause a brain trauma. Yes. Okay. The second one is that it could be hereditary. Okay. It could be hereditary. So you find these days people who, when they come to understand dyslexia, they begin to say, oh, it was like this with my mom when When we were growing up, somebody told us a story how the father couldn't count his money very well. The mother was the stronger person in the house, you know. So when people understand dyslexia, they begin to trace it to somebody they had known, somebody in the tree of in the family line that may have had one of such symptoms, because there are quite a large number of symptoms of dyslexia. Some people, you can find it in speech, some is in their attitude, various symptoms.
Okay,
Yeah.
now research has shown that intelligence is not a problem, because they could be very creative. Those dyslexic can be very creative. They can express themselves through certain media. Going through school, is an important factor in the life of a person that has dyslexia. So, how do they get to learn, express, and then recognize certain words?
Yeah, okay. Good question. You know, dyslexia affects their reading. When we say it affects reading, it doesn't mean that people cannot read at all. But when they are reading, they stutter, they are not fluent, and they are not accurate, and they may drag their reading, they are slow. So by the time they get to the end of the sentence and get into another one, they forget what they read already. So that affects comprehension. Also, you find that some of them tell you that they see the alphabet jumping. They tell you that they find the alphabet jumping. Some of them, they cannot pronounce some words. A child I was assessing the other day, he could pronounce the first sounds, ka, but he couldn't blend it to an, can. He could say ka, and I said, continue. Yeah. So when you say that, you begin to know that these people have difficulties with phonemic awareness. So what you do is that they must get a good grasp of the sounds, and then they must learn how to blend their sounds to form words.
Okay. Let me talk about the signs parents can look out for to know that this child is dyslexic. How can they recognize, just to avoid them beating or scolding the child incessantly? How can parents know by just some signs that this child has dyslexia?
Wonderful question. We have a flyer that says parents just want to know, because you find this child intelligent, smart, he could ask very intelligent questions, yet he cannot cope in school. So you begin to think, now when you find a child who at the point he's supposed to speak, he's not speaking. A child who is supposed to be able to do the phonetic, the poetic things they teach them in school, the rhymes, he's not able to. A child who is not meeting up with the age appropriate goals, you begin to know that this child, something may be wrong. We're talking to a mother, a child of 3. If he wants water, he will say, he will point at it. And we said, no, you can't do that. He must be able to say water. That child must be able to say water before you give him water. At his age, he should say water. Okay? If he sees a ball, he says, No. That when he's supposed to name objects, he's supposed to name them. When you begin to see that, some people will tell you that, it's just slow, he will pick up. Okay, it's good if he picks up with time, but if he does not, please watch out. So the symptoms that you notice is that the child doesn't speak on time, the child does not meet the age appropriate, like walking at the time his age mates are supposed to walk. It doesn't crawl early or at the time it's supposed to. Not early. I mean, there's no one that will say that this is the exact time it's supposed to. But when you know that this is the age when children, some people have 3-4 children, and they see that others have done these things at a particular time, and then this one is different. But we warn people, we say, please don't compare children. Allow it for some time, but watch out. People who are involved, parents who are involved, would always notice. When we noticed my son, my husband said to me, this boy is just being a boy. You're comparing with the other boy. And I was careful. I said, am I doing that? Okay, let me watch out. But I still realized that there was still something different. There was something wrong somewhere. And I said, no, this is not comparison. So if you're an involved parent, you will know that something is different.
It's different. So you mentioned your son, you noticed some differences and some signs. Tell us about the age you noticed that differences.
Between 4 and 5.
Between 4 and 5
I
years.
noticed that my son was overly active. Okay. And I just thought that, this boy is being a strong boy, stronger than maybe the other boy and all that. I felt that he can't walk. He's always running, always jumping over things instead of walking over them, I started feeling that this is because he was wearing us out. And then gradually, he's very smart. He asks very smart questions, but he wasn't coping in school.
When you say he wasn't coping in school, what do you mean by that?
He comes back, he's not able to handle his own work.
Okay.
He's not, the teachers will notice, okay? Even if you don't notice at home, the teachers will notice that this child is not sitting down to study when others are studying. This child is not able, it's not bringing back his homework done. When all that is happening, it means that something is wrong somewhere. Everybody wants, to be praised. A child wants to come back to school and they say, okay, this one did his own work well. Okay, we are going to put like stickers they put and say, this one.
And thumbs up, high
yes,
five,
it happens to all of the children. This particular one or 2 or 3 of them are not, doing it. Then you keep trying and the child doesn't seem to be catching up. Okay. He's not copying his notes. You worry, you punish and all that, but yet it's continuing. Then you begin to look out for how else to teach this child, how else to train this child. When you see that it's still that's tough for this child to cope like other children are doing, then you begin to ask questions.
Okay, let me quickly announce it's 27 minutes past 12 in the city of Lagos. You're listening to Health Focus on Unilag 103.1 FM. And the program, I mentioned the program already. Yes, we're talking about dyslexia, understanding dyslexia. And I have an expert in the house, and she is Felicia Aripo, the executive director and co-founder of Dyslexia Foundation. Now, you mentioned teachers noticing certain signs in the children. Let us look at a report, because it also borders on teachers. A report by Dr. Adrina says that about 90% of teachers don't know about this disorder. And this is very worrisome, because one of the solutions recommended as researched is to treat dyslexia. You need to have what they call early intervention.
That's right.
Do you think enough is being done to educate or sensitize our teachers about dyslexia?
Worrisome, you said. A good word. Worrisome indeed. Because when we started trying to create awareness on dyslexia, the most painful aspect is that the schools where you expected, where we send our children, and you expect that they're the ones who know these things. Schools don't know about dyslexia. School owners don't know about dyslexia. They've never met the word. Alarming indeed. So, and at home we don't know, and then your child send this child to school. So we just felt that these people are lodos. That's what they call them. We begin to say, look at John is doing this, John is doing his own work, John is doing this and doing that, and you are not. And you don't know that the child is internalizing that. He actually tries, but he sees that he's not getting at anything. So he leaves it there, and he finds a way to go and do some other thing. He plays instead. So from home, we do not know what it is, and we expect that we'll get better results from school, and the schools don't know. One of the times I went to school, I said, why am I getting 2 different results? In one, he's doing well, in the other one, and somebody pulled me back and said, excuse me, ma. I noticed that this child, when I read, he's in my class. When I read to him, he's able to answer the questions. but the other teachers are not his teachers. So they just give the paper and expect him to pass the exams. So that was when I realized that my son didn't have comprehension. Oh, I was a very involved mother. That's how I got to pick all these things. But the teachers, okay, she told me about comprehension, but she didn't know what was wrong with my son. The teachers don't know.
So before I go to my next your questions, based on what you have just said, the number to call on is 0129111031. 0129111031. Call us if you have questions about dyslexia. We're talking about dyslexia, and I have an expert in the house, Felicia Aripo, the executive director and then co-founder of Dyslexia Foundation. Now, how do we get teachers, to be aware about this disorder? Also, how do we get the government to create awareness such that it is internalized in the teacher's curriculum, in the teacher's training school?
Great.
How do we get them to do this?
We have been doing teachers training for some time since we came in, and we have one. We have one very soon. In the next few weeks, we have another teachers training. But at some point, it looked like the schools felt that we're in competition. We said, no, we are supporting what you're doing. We're not in competition. In fact, one head of school said to us, when they have not paid school fees to me, and then they go to you, so they pay another money, how do I get my school fees? So it's very, very scary the way it is going, because the teachers are the ones, the school owners are the ones who should be yearning to get teachers trained, because that's the first point of call for the children after home.
Yes,
right.
So warm up to the idea.
Yes, but so if they don't know, then we are in a situation.
Like
it's a terrible.
You cannot give what you do not have.
You cannot.
Now, are there degrees to dyslexia? Are there some that are less? Are there some that are more? Are there degrees to dyslexia?
Yes. Dyslexia is a spectrum. It could be mild, it could be moderate, it could be profound, but it could also be severe. Now, when it is severe, you find that you begin to see the cognitive weaknesses play. In fact, not just when it is severe. When somebody is dyslexic, there's another aspect of it, the cognitive weaknesses. For every human being, there are 8 cognitive skills in us. The memory, long-term memory, the short-term memory, the processing speed, the visual processing, auditory memory, word attack, and all that, and attention. A lot of people who are dyslexic are ADD. ADD is attention deficiency disorder. But there are some who have hyper. Like I said, my son was hyper. So you have attention deficiency hyperactivity disorder. Now, if those if there are cognitive weaknesses, it worsens dyslexia, because it makes them